Hey everyone, this is Black Knight 657. Now with today's topic in hand, well, I was about to say short story or story time, but yeah, this isn't much of like a story time thing. This is more of like a personal thought kind of thing, and something that I actually want to talk about for a long time. By that I mean like I want to kind of bring this up for like the past few months, if not like half a year or actually even a year too. But due to what's been happening recently, I figured like, okay, it might be a good time to bring this up now. That and also too, because life's been busy with work, family, and so on and so forth. So apologies that I haven't been posting much recently about well, pretty much anything. But hey, that comes first, right? And this is pretty much just like a hobby of mine. That's it. So the topic that I want to talk about is gacha gaming. And this is something like a broad topic because I can say a lot of things about, gachas, from like the games to the issues and all that stuff. It's like, if you've seen like any other like content creators and everything, I mean, look at them, right? But anyways, but for this right here, I'm just gonna kind of talk about, I guess, like the general, I guess, idea of it. If not, mainly just about, like I said, about what's going on, you know. Excuse me, I had a burp for a second. Anyways, so here, let's start with this right here. So for those who don't know what gacha gaming are, they're pretty much games where they're free to play. Quotes on free to play, that part. So I'll like explain on that. So basically, these are games that you could download either on your phone or PC or on like gaming consoles, right? And they are free games that you can play. Now, the thing is though, with those games, they might give you a almost full gaming experience. I say almost though, because you'll have just regular games, right? Like the Mario games or any games on like PlayStation, Xbox, and all that stuff, right? So pretty much you got those games where it's like start to finish, and you can pretty much finish those games in like a day or two or however long you want, right? Well, excluding like the DLC, which I kind of miss about how back then it was just just that the game. That's it. It may have some glitches, but hey, it was fun. Now it's like, oh, DLC this or oh, DLC that, to where it's like they're purposely not finish up the games, or at least in my opinion they're not. I mean, it's kind of like one thing when they're like making the games and they're completing it, right? And then if they want to add DLC just to kind of add like extra stuff to it, to where it's like not needed, right? Then that's fine. But it's like if you're adding DLC to where it completes the story or completes the actual game, then it's like, what are you doing? Anyways, sidetrack. So yeah, so with gacha games, right? It's like you don't have the actual full game. So it's like if a game comes out, let's say like day one, right? Like on its release date. So then you play the game, and let's say like the first act of it or the first part of it takes you maybe like 6 hours or so, then that's it. But then the game continues later on where they release a new patch, and that can happen in the next like month and a half, 2 months, or something like that, right? So then that's when you complete more of the story and more of what the game has to offer. That, and also you even have the whole system behind gacha gamings of the summonings and pulls. So for those who don't know, you have, or here, let's say if you see like trailers of like a game, let's hear a recent one like Wuthering Waves, right? Or like Zenless Zone Zero, or any of like the Hoyoverse games, right? So basically, you see a character that is in the game, and they're available. The thing is though, they're not exactly free, so meaning that you have to summon or pull for them, and you get that within the game. Now the thing is though, and this is where the gacha part comes in, right? Is that when you're trying to pull for these characters or summon for them, you're not really guaranteed them, or it's like you are, but you're not. So here, I'll kind of like explain it. So it's like this. Let's see. Let's take a game like Gacha Impact, for example, right? So with that, you have 90 summons to get this character. Now, you can win between those 90 pulls or summons within that banner, right? So pretty much like this. Let's say if I pull one summon, right? I have a 1 out of 90 chance of getting that character on the first pull, which is, obviously lucky and rare to get that. But as you keep pulling, pretty much like put like another pull, 2 pulls, 10 pulls, and so on and so forth. your chances of getting the character become higher and higher and higher, meaning that there's less chances, or to get that character. So, like I said, you can probably get that character on the first pull, right? But then you might actually end up getting that character all the way, taking you to 89 pulls out of the 90, or even straight up 90. Yes, that is possible, which sucks. But here's the part right here where it kind of comes in, right? Now, even though it takes like 90 pulls to get that character, you still have a 50-50 chance of getting that character. Meaning that, let's say if you pull like the 90, right? Hard pity, on that. But then you get a 5-star character, but it's not the character on that banner, meaning that it's not the character that you want, it's someone else. So with Genshin Impact, for example. So if that happens, and here's the thing too, it doesn't have to be 90. I'm just saying, if it happens to be 90 pulls, but you can get that character in 60 pulls instead, which is better. But let's say that happens. So then that means the next time you try to get that character again on the same banner, right? Now you are guaranteed, meaning that the next 5-star character you get will be that character that you're trying to pull. Here's the thing though with that as well. There's kind of a catch with that, right? It's like this. Let's say, if you, well, let's go back to how I said it, right? The 90 hard pity pull, which is crazy. But let's say it takes you 90 pulls to get that 5-star character. Who wasn't it? Now, the next time you try to get that character, you're guaranteed. Here's the thing though. You're going to have to start over, meaning that, and now recess back to 0. So meaning that you have a 1 in 90 chance to get that character again. However, you are guaranteed that character. So that's the thing though. So yay. But if you have serious bad luck, you pretty much might not get that character until after 180 pulls. But again, that's with Genshin Impact. But I know that Hong Kong Star Rail does the same thing too. And I think Zenless on Zero does the same thing. Pretty much that's how the Hoyoverse games do it. But other games do it differently too. Here, a quick example on this one, right, is when it comes to, let's say, Blue Archive or even Nikkei. So the way that they do it, right, is how you'll, pull, a character, and same thing. You get a chance to get them on the first pull or so on and so forth. However, the way that their system works, which in my opinion, well, here, Nikkei actually isn't so bad, but Blue Archive, so it's like this. When it comes to like the Hoyoverse games, right? It takes 90 pulls to get a guaranteed 5-star, right? With them, it takes 200 pulls, which already sounds insane right there, which it kind of is. Here's the thing though. So with Nikkei, right? So you are guaranteed a character 200 pulls. So meaning that, it will take you 200 pulls to guarantee that character, or within the 200 pulls, you can get the character, because it's all by chance, right? But with Nikkei, let's say if you're trying to get the character, and let's say you don't get them, and you're like 130 pulls in, right? So now that character banner ends. So now the new one happens. Well, those 130 pulls that you had roll over to the next one. So that's the good thing. Meaning that now, instead of taking you maybe like 200 pulls to get the new character, the next one, right? Now, you can add the 130 to that. Meaning that now, it will only take you 70 pulls to guarantee that character. Again, this is all only if you haven't gotten the character within those 200 pulls or less. Just saying, So I'm just saying, like, if it takes you 200 pulls to get that character. So that's the good thing about Nikkei, is that, yeah, it might take you 200 pulls to guarantee that character for sure. But at least all those pulls you're getting can like roll over to the next one. So that's good. Now with Blue Archive, they don't do that. Instead, it's like, 200 pulls. But let's say if let's say if it takes you like 130 pulls, right? And you still haven't gotten the character that you want, and then the new one happens. Well, unfortunately, those 130 pulls do not roll over to the next one. And that's what I really hate about, that kind of gacha system. To me, that's really bad. And I think someone mentioned something kind of like that in another game. I forgot what it was that though, but when they were talking about that, I was like, I mean, yeah, that's bad, but isn't that kind of like normal-ish? I don't know. Anyways, so I'm getting hit myself. So the whole point of me saying that, right, is that that's how the gacha games work, or like these gacha games work, right? Is that, you know, you're pretty much like, well, I mean, let's be honest, you're pretty much gambling in a way. Now, even though you're trying to summon and pull for these characters, and it's a free to play game too, so to be honest, you don't have to spend any money. That's the thing though. You can put money into this, meaning that instead of taking a long time to get this character, you can put in real currency into the game to pull these characters sooner or faster, you know, or whatever it is that you have to do. But that's pretty much like the whole, I guess, like gacha experience, or at least like one of them, is that you pretty much are, you know, trying to, you know, get these characters or get these weapons or get anything else, you know, and even though it's free to play, they try to tempt you in a way to get these characters. I'll go into more detail on that later though, but that's where the gacha part comes in, right? Because they gotcha on buying things in the game. I don't know. But anyway, so it's just like that. And then, like I said too before, how like it does give you like a kind of like a full game experience, but not really. So meaning that, like I said, you know, they give updates and patches in the future to where they expand the game, put more stuff, make changes, and, you know, all that stuff, you know. But that's what pretty much what a gacha game is. So, and here's the thing too, with gacha games too, they can be any kind of genre, you know. It could be like a fantasy game, it could be a card game, it could be, you know, racing game, anything, honestly, you know. But that's pretty much it though. Well, as in what a gacha game is. Yeah. I spent like almost 12 minutes explaining that. I don't know. Anyways, so, and with that being said, let's see. Again, this is like speaking from my experience, right? Like in my opinion on this and everything. So for me, I want to say this all kind of started actually, right? Now, for my actual legit first gacha game, it actually was Genshin Impact back in, you know, 2020, because I'm a day one player, you know, and I'm still playing it as of today. But technically speaking, if I had to really think back into it, I didn't really start in 2020. Instead, I actually kind of started back in like 2016 or 2017, because the very first actual gacha game that I played was called Moe Ninja Girls. Now, who in here recalls that? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, but this game right here is, well, around that time and everything, I was more into like, you know, like anime and gaming and everything. I mean, I still am though, but back then I was really into it, you know, and I was like single and everything. So pretty much like all my money went into that. Anyways, so I was trying to find, you know, things to play that was like anime based and everything. And then I found that game, right? So pretty much it's just like a, you have like a, it's like a kind of like a main character harem game with like, you know, like ninja girls and everything and so forth. But anyways, but you play the game and here back then I didn't know it was a gacha game, right? But back then, you know, you play the game, it has a story behind it, this and that, blah blah, you know, and of course you collect characters. But with these characters, it wasn't like you get all of them, you know, all at once. You would, you know, pull for summons or pull certain characters and all that stuff, right? And again, too, back then, I didn't know it was a gacha game. I was just like, oh, well, it's a game to where they have limits on them, and there's only limited time events, and I can put money into it. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a unique game. But anyways, that was like my first gacha experience, right? Or like my first technical gacha experience. But again, too, I didn't know what it was back then. And then I didn't really get into the whole gacha community, you could say, until Gacha Impact happened. And that was a time when, you know, everybody was like into, you know, that game. I mean, like, there's still a lot of people who still play that game, not as much as before. I will admit that, you know, because over time, well, like when 2020 happened, everybody was at home, and that was like a game where people can just play online with people and just do everything. But of course, over time, people started to, you know, play other games, started to go out more, and the popularity of it kind of went down, and, you know, so on and so forth. I mean, I can make a whole entire essay video on Gacha Impact alone. But anyways, yeah, so like that was pretty much like my first actual legit experience was with Gacha Impact in 2020. And then over time, that's when I started to, I guess, like find more games to play with, you know. For example, I started to get into more Azure Lane, the Blue Archive, Either Gazer, Snowbreak, PRG, and so on and so forth. Those were just a few games that I was starting with, And then as time goes on, then I started finding even more games. Like here, how many of you have even heard of a game called Higen Irutio, or one game that came out last year called Ecocopolis, I believe that's how you say it. And then of course you have a new game that came out, I think like a few months ago, or 2 months ago, I think, or at least it was kind of like a early release in the West-ish, called Horizon Walker. And then you have also, I believe it's called Haze Reverb. Hold on, let me see. I got a list of these. Okay, here we go. So we got Haze Reverb, Outer Plane, and let's see. That's pretty much kind of it. Or like other games too, or like Starseed, Cat Fantasy, Down, Brown Dust 2, and yeah. So here, if some of y'all know what some of those games are, you and I are friends. I'll just say it that way, okay? Anyways, yeah. So pretty much like from 2020 till now, I've been pretty much like played maybe like 22 Gacha games, and now 23 now, or even 24 now. Think about it. Now I don't play all of them back to back to back. I mean, if anything, I probably play like at least half of them daily, but otherwise just here and there and so forth. But yeah, but it wasn't just me, getting into Gacha games too. Of course, we noticed, a lot more people have been getting more into them. And it's kind of like, here, you know what? I would put it almost like equivalent to like how anime became popular back, in like the 90s or like kind of like 2000s, right? So where it was like not really known or kind of like, oh, well, they like that, But over time, it like gradually got more popular. And then people started playing it and like, or not playing it, or watching it more, and they got more into it. So to me, it's pretty much the same thing as like Gacha games, to where like no one really knew what they were, or like it was kind of like like on like the download and everything. But then as time goes on, it got more popular. Then like gaming companies started becoming more known, and started making more games that are more interesting and more this, more that, blah blah, all this stuff, And here we are today. And it even gets to the point to where people actually start to compare Gacha games to actual games, like those gamings you'll see like like God of War, or even like a Black Wukong or all stuff. Now I'm not saying that these Gacha games are in comparison to them, because like, well, we'll see. To be honest, I think like some Gacha games, when it comes to story, it's just like like the gameplay is fine and the characters are cool and everything, right? But some of the stories can be just kind of boring and dull. Like, I kid you not, like, excuse me, like, Wuthering Waves was a prime example of that. Not anymore, though, But, like, in the beginning, oh my gosh, it was so dull, and the voice acting was kind of like, meh, especially Yang Yang, oh my gosh. Ugh. And also, now think about it, don't even get me started on Wuthering Waves, because me and Wuha, man, we got a bad history together. We started off bad and rough. And you know what? Here, that's like another video on itself right there, of like my toxic relationship with Wuha and everything. I mean, we're getting better now. That now it's finally on PS5. Now I can finally play the game to where it's not lagging anymore or screw me over. Anyways, but yeah. So it's kind of like that, right? But the story has gone better with that game. And then in some games, like for me, in my opinion, Genshin Impact, the story has always been good, since the beginning and until now. I mean, like, I will say, Natlan's story is like, to me, it was good, but not as, good as like Fontaine, for example, and everything. But to me, it's never been bad per se. And I'm talking about like the main story thing, Granted, there's always improvement that, it can have. It can always get better over time, because like nothing is perfect, right? But at least for me and so forth, it's always been good and not like bad. Well, unlike some like side story quests where it's like, okay, yeah, no, this is kind of stupid. But anyways, but the point of this though is that like some people will do that to compare these games to actual full games, and to where they even go as far as say that these newer games, these like full legit games, are even worse than these Gacha games. Excuse me, because like they'll put more effort into it, which is good too, because that means the company or the devs care about the players, care about their experience, because as we all should deserve to have good games, you know and I kind of say that lightly because I don't want to say we deserve it. I mean, yeah, we should deserve to have good games, just like we deserve to have good movies and all that stuff, right? And everything. But also too, I kind of feel like that's like entitlement. I don't know, but that's just me personally. Anyways, so yeah. Then of course, so going on off of what Gacha Game is, and kind of how it became more popular, and just some games I've been playing and everything. Of course, we can't forget about the community. And boy, it has been something. It's a roller coaster, I'm not going to tell you that. And here, I'll speak from here. And again, too, I'm just speaking from my experience, right? Off of this. But for me, I never really got into the community much. Meaning that I never really put myself in there or out there to where I'm having all these discussions and topics. I mean, if anything, I'm watching videos of updates or progress or this and that. However, funny enough, recently it's been more about drama between other content creators on the Gacha Space, right? And here, some people who actually do watch, besides being entertaining, but also kind of know what's going on and so forth, like Tectone or Doro, Mr. Pokey, Gacha Smack, Braxophone, and Santonuts. I think that's how you say his name. He's kind of newish. But anyways, so those are some people who I watch, And then of course you have those people who are just bad to watch. like here. Let me know if you have heard of this. I should be the only motherfucker. If you know, you know. Okay, Ambiosity. Anyways. So, it's just like that. And then, who else? I think his name is Zyox, I think it was. I kind of watched him before. It's Bill Guys in the beginning. But recently, I've been hearing things and seeing things. And I'm just like, ugh. But it's just so crazy. Here. Before I, really dive into that stuff, whatever. Basically, long story short, about the people, right? And so basically, I see it as in kind of the anime and gaming community, to where it's people are around, sharing their thoughts and opinions, having a good time, and all enjoying the same interests, right? Or for the most part, at least. And of course, we have our, differences as well, which is completely fine, by the way. It's so okay to not agree on things. The problem is when people, have a disagreement, and it becomes so intense to where, friendships are ruined, drama's happening, people are threatening each other, and yeah, that part is just crazy, And to be honest, I think those are people who just are just insane in the first place. But anyways, so it's like that. So with these content creators who are also part of the community, right? So they will, and again too, I'm speaking from my personal experience, or from my POV, right? How they all started as just regular streamers, just playing the game, and then of course they stuck on that game and started to get more involved in it. Meaning they started making more guys, they started talking about the characters in depth, the stories, and all that stuff, to where people became more interested in them due to either who they were, if they're entertaining, the way they sounded all that stuff, right? So those are people who I said before, that's pretty much what happened to them, to where they start off as just ordinary people, and then became these I don't want to say big shots exactly, but people who know them now, Now with them, exactly, here's it too. Again, it's just all entertainment, and and kind of hearing out what they had to say about the games, right? My problem though not with the content creators themselves, well, some of them I will say, but not all of them. But I feel like the ones that have common sense, the ones who have some logic behind them, some reasoning behind them, and everything. I feel like with those people, it's not really them who have the issue, It's mainly the community itself, the viewers, they're the ones who cause more chaos, in my opinion, on that stuff. Because, for example, when Tectone talks, right, or when Gacha Smack talks, right, I see those guys as in they have more of a grounded sense to them. They speak more logic and reasoning, right? About how these games work and how life should be in a way, more so like Gacha Smash, because he to me he's more like that person to be like, look, I'm gonna tell you straight up this and that, blah blah blah, so forth. Which honestly, I'm for that. I'm for him. I'm for Tecto and all that stuff too, because in my opinion too, it's just like, yeah, these games are fun and everything and so forth, but then it's like, it's just a game at the end of the day. So there's that. And then also too, they bring out issues with these gaming companies, not I guess like listening to their players or doing what they can to make the game better, and they get lazy or not do all the stuff, which I agree too on that, so forth and whatever. But I don't know. Let's see. I try to figure out, I guess, like my point about this and so forth is just like, yeah, so they'll be saying all this, right? But then there are some people out there too, to where I guess like you can kind of almost tell that they are really catering to the company. Now, granted, I know one reason why behind this is because, like, let's say, like, now here, I'm not saying who exactly, because I had no idea, right? I have no proof. I have no evidence saying like, oh, this person was hired by so and so. I'm just hearing what's been going on. For example, I know, Doro, he's been pushed under, the rug, or like out there for being like a Genshin show or something like that, Again, too, I'm not saying he is. I'm not accusing him of saying that. I have no evidence. I'm just saying from what I'm seeing, But anyways, but no, he's cool and everything, right? Yeah, I actually do like him. But anyways, basically, it's just like he'll get sponsorships from them. So then he'll have to say like good things of the game and this and that, and he can't really give like actual full critiques or saying it bad. I mean, he could, but and again, I'm just using him as an example of this. Again, I'm not saying this is exactly what's happening towards him. Okay, I want to make that clear. I'm just saying like, oh well, let's say Doro, right? So with him, it's like Hoyoverse is sponsoring him. So they're paying him, to play the game for a certain amount of time, this and that, right? So then, therefore, he has to praise the game as much as possible, but he can't step out of line to talk anything bad about it, or at least give on like full, legit criticism. Because if he does, then they might stop sponsoring him, or they'll just cut him off or whatever else, the case may be. Now, for a actual problem that happened, so let's put that example, aside. I don't know who it was exactly because I don't really follow VTubers, personally. But I know that there was like a story that happened, I think like last month or something, where like the VTuber was playing a Wuthering Waves, right? So they're playing the game and they're praising it. But then I guess Hoyoverse found out about that and cut them off. Even though that person has been with them for years, actually since the beginning, I think that they said for like 4 years or something. And they just be like, oh, nope, get out here because you're playing another rival game, this and that, which is crazy, Again, it's just like it's like a business practice. I get that, because here, at the end of the day, these games are business. That's what it is, because they make money. So these companies are making these games to make money. Now, of course, it would be very good if you have people who create these games because they have a passion for them, right? Like how people have a passion to make movies and like story writing and all this stuff, Like for me myself, maybe in the future I'll, finally finish my story writings and get them out there to be published and so forth, But anyways, when I do that though, it's not for the money. I mean, yeah, if they make money, then no shit, yeah, hell yeah, But the whole point of it is just my passion, just to create these stories. So if you have these, developers and these creators doing the same thing to make these games happen, and they just happen to make a lot of money, then hey, that's even better, That's awesome. But you have some companies to where they don't really do that, and they kind of do like it's kind of like let's see, I want to say they follow like a guidebook, to where they had to have this, and this, and this, And as long as they have all these standards or whatever, then the game should play fine or this and that. And I guess that's where the problem comes in, to where it's treated like a business. Or like, again, I know this is a business, but there's like a difference between, having a business and just treating it like that, but then having a business and you can feel the passion and heart that was put behind it. You know what I'm talking about? So it's like that. and I don't know, it's kind of messed up, and this is where like these content creators, point out the mistakes or like the issues with these companies. A prime example right now is Hoyoverse. How like here, if I recall right, I think the recent one was with Star Rail, with 3.0. Now I haven't got caught up with Star Rail much because I've been busy playing other games and also just with life in general. I'm like almost caught up to it. But anyways, but from what I heard, and this is kind of crazy too, actually. Excuse me. They said that Act 1, yeah, this is the first part of it, right? Act 1, just the story by itself, is 10 hours. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, wait, what? 10 hours? Now, now let's see. When I played, what's good? Penacony, right? Yeah, Penacony. So when I played that, I thought that was already long enough, I mean, yeah, it wasn't like the first act and everything, but it was kind of like, dragged a little bit. Like, it wasn't bad, but I was like, it's kind of, chit-chat around, a bit much. But holy crap, 10 hours on the first act? That's crazy. Oh my gosh, so there's that. And on top of that, too, I've seen like memes and other issues with the same thing. Not just because it was 10 hours, but also how like the animation isn't there. They got black screens and just text, and it's like, oh man. So pretty much it's like they're telling, not showing, when it's supposed to be kind of the other way around instead. And I mean, what I even saw this one meme where like they had like Gacha Impact actually showing it, then they had Honkai Impact showing it too, but then they have a Honkai Star Rail just giving out a text. I was like, wow, that's funny. Anyways, and yeah, so it's just like those kind of issues. And going back to these content creators talking about it, right? And I'm all for that. I really am. I believe that games should have some some criticism behind them. That way, the games can become better, in the future. Because at the end of the day, we all want these games to succeed. I believe that. Of course, I also believe that there are haters out there who just want to hate, on games and everything, or for due to being biased or whatever. But I feel like for some of these content creators, like some of the names that I mentioned earlier, like maybe not all of them, but some of them for sure, they are just pointing out these problems, and yeah, I would agree with them, to an extent on like these issues and like what game companies should do and how to improve and this and that, However, that being said, at the same time too, I kind of feel like maybe not the same content creators that I mentioned before, but other ones, to where it's like I just feel like they're kind of just taking it too seriously. Now I know that the excuse behind that is that, well, it's their job, quote job. No, anyways, but it's their job to talk about these issues or just talk about the game itself, because that's what like their channel is like based about, right? So I mean, to me that makes common sense. Then that's kind of like a no duh and everything. But saying that too, it's just like I just be watching these videos, and for example, what's his name? Santotas. Okay, that's how I say it. Okay, right. Anyway, so this guy here. And from in here, I just kind of been watching him recently. That's it. But from like what Tactil's been saying and like other people have been saying and like all these debates that I've been seeing with this guy, whatever, I can tell like he has a heart for Wuthering Waves, right, and everything and so forth. But like the way he talks and says things too, I'd be sitting there looking at it and I'd be like, dude, this guy's taking this game too seriously. It's just, I don't know. And here. I just want to point this out too, okay? I'm a gamer. So I've been playing games for almost 30 years, ever since I was 3 years old, I've been into fighting games and all this stuff, right? Like my very first console, if I had to recall right, I think it was Sega Genesis. If not, it was like a Super Nintendo or something like that. So back then, right? So since then, I've been having like almost all the consoles, from growing up to like, having the PS1, N64, then GameCube, PS2, I didn't get Xbox though. I don't know. but I ended up getting the 360, later on. So there's that. And the Wii, even the handles like Game Boy Color, the PSP, like all that, Even I even got the PS Vita. Okay. Okay, does anyone recall that PS Vita? Yeah, I had that. Anyways, so so I totally get where the passion comes from, you know, because like I said, I'm a gamer, so I understand the passion for it. I understand, like, you know, loving the games, you know, being invested into the games, you know, and all that stuff. So I totally understand it, you know, because I was there too, and everything. So like the passion that they have for it and they're taking it so seriously, I totally get it. But also, here's the thing too, and again, like, you know, it's been like almost 30 years later, right? You know, now, you know, I got a family, I'm married and all stuff. So obviously my, you know, needs and, you know, what I had to do, you know, come first when it comes to my family and job and all stuff, right? Excuse me. So that's like a no-brainer. That's like a no duh, because that, you know, that's life, and I had to be responsible, obviously, you know, as a husband and a father, right? But also too, besides that, you know, even before I became that, you know, like had a family, I got to the point of age to where I was like, yeah, like, you know, like all these games I have passions for, but also too, like I said before already, it's just a game at the end of the day, you know, because I feel like sometimes, like, here back then, you know, when I had that fiery passion for games and I had to stand up for it and say, oh, this and that's over, pretty much like what some of these content creators are doing, right? You know, like I was kind of the same way too, and I wasn't like, you know, doing all this, you know, streaming, you know, back then, right? But I totally understand. But then sometimes I feel like you just have to just like stop and kind of just take a step back, right? And look at what's happening and just realize, like, is this kind of like worth it? You know, worth the stress, worth, you know, putting people down because they don't know how to do a combo or know how to do a certain thing, or okay, even freaking saying, I just saw a clip saying like how like there's a debate, it was him, Tactone, and then I think it was someone else, I forgot who it was exactly, but basically it's like them, and there's one part in that debate or like the discussion that they had where he was calling someone out. I think it was Vars, if not it was someone else, but basically he was saying how he would talk about a certain thing. I think it was Vars, yeah. So he was talking about a certain thing, right, in the game, but then his B-roll was showing something else, and then he was complaining how like, how you gonna say this and then show this, which, to be honest, I get it, I really do. So I understand where it's coming from. But also too, it's just like, chill out. like it's not a huge deal. Like I get it. Like, yeah, maybe you do want to show a B-roll or like a certain clip of what you're talking about, because yeah, I guess for his point of view that would make more sense, right? It's like, oh, here I am talking about you know like here I'll give you an example, like this video, right? So here I am talking about Gacha games, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be adding like a clip of a Gacha game, you know, because that's what the whole topic is about, right? However, I can, you know, do that, or I can be talking about Gacha games, but then showing like a fighting game or something else that isn't related to that. You know, it's kind of like that, I guess. But I know for his like point of view of defense was saying like, you know, how viewers might get confused, you know, of that. Which again, I get that, so I get where it's coming from, and to me that does make sense. But at the same time too, it's like you kind of have to look at the other side of it and be like, well, at the same time too, it's like not much of a big deal, or it's like, okay, just, you know, calm down. So it's just, I don't know, it's just that stuff, and that's just like one thing, right? But then it gets really bad, and not talking about the same person, but like it gets really bad when then you have these content creators out here talking about like their personal lives, and then start having these huge drama situations. And it's kind of crazy. I will admit it's entertaining though. It's entertaining, but it's crazy. Like with the whole Tectone situation, right? Like from where he was and how he became, you know, who he is and so forth. And it's just, wow. It's like, it's kind of like high school. Now thinking about it, that's what it is. It's like high school. It really is, you know? Because it's like, yeah, you have like gossiping happening and kind of backstabbing, I guess, and this and that, so forth. And that happens in life, right? Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people have like been there somewhat, so forth, or have some kind of experience, right? But for me personally, it's just worse when it's online, because it's like, yeah, this stuff happened, and yeah, like I said, like I've had my moments too, right? You know, of like embarrassing moments or like gossiping moments and everything. But just imagine if like a personal thing happened to you between someone else or a group of people, right? And yeah, they can, you know, spread it out and say, oh, so did this, right? To me, if it's online, it's like that times 1,000. Because it's not only just you and the other person and like maybe 5 other people. No, now it's you, these 6 people, and then you have like tens of thousands of other people listening in on this as well. Online. It can be all over the place too. Now, granted, some of us, actually to be honest, I kind of hope half of us, but at this rate, I don't know. But anyways, some of us don't live online, you know? Like you know, some people live on the internet, and to me that's cringe and it's stupid. It really is, you know? But it's just like that's where they get all the, you know, information and source from, and like how to keep up, which is fine. But man, I don't know, because it's just, I don't know. And here's the thing too. That's one of the things too, to where here I'll say this, you know. And sorry if I'm kind of going all over the place, you know, on this and everything, because here, if you know my concept by now, I don't really do scripts. I don't really, you know, plan things out, whatever. I kind of just say what's on mind, you know, as if I'm talking to someone right in front of me, you know. That's how I do these, right? But anyways, that's like one of the major things to where I didn't decide to be a content creator myself. Because here's the thing, with like all the investment that I put in on like Gacha Impact, you know, I could have been, you know, if I actually tried, you know, I could have been one of these guys out here, you know. I would have been like a well-known name and everything, if I'm being honest, you know, really. However, I will say that back then, granted, it's kind of funny too, but before I moved there and so forth, I lived on the country, so like, you know, I didn't have, you know, good Wi-Fi, you know, connection that much, or wasn't like really like high speed and everything. So that was like my only obstacle of not being a content creator right on the spot for like Gacha Impact, for example, right? But it wasn't until like the following year, then that's when we got, you know, fast internet, and then that's when I started getting more equipment, like this microphone that I'm using right now, right? You know, like the HyperX one, and then like, you know, the camera and like the 2 screens, blah blah blah. You know, I pretty much have like a setup now, right? So it's just like that. So like in 2021, if not even 2022, I could have, you know, started right there to be a more of a content creator and try to do something about it. However, the reason why I haven't, even now too, you know, I'm playing all these games, and yeah, I've even invested in them too. And besides my life just being busy, you know, about, you know, actual real life stuff, that's like one of the other main reasons why I guess like I also chose not to be a content creator as well. It's because, you know, I didn't want my personal, you know, things to be out there. Now here, for me personally, I don't really have, you know, much dirt on me, you can say. I pretty much have like a clean slate, you know. I haven't like, you know, done anything drastic or like get my personal business out there and so forth, right? You know, so like what? Let's say if I did became a content creator, and let's say I became one like the big ones out there. Some people can try to find as much crap, you know, against me, but won't really find much, or to where it's like, you know, actual seriousness. But anyways, but I don't know. That's just one of my things about that, and not only that too, but also I don't want like my personal life to get too invested into like the online space. You know what I'm talking about? Because like, you know, of course I like my life to be, you know, private, if not mostly private at least, you know. I mean, yeah, I'll share things. I made, you know, videos about my experiences and everything and so forth, and that's all on my choice. But I don't want like my fan members or close friends to be out there, you know, all of a sudden due to what I said or done, or someone just trying to like you know, like excuse me, do like a background check. You know what I'm talking about? So that's like one of my issues, or like one of the reasons why I haven't like took myself into becoming like a content creator exactly, or like put myself out there. Now, could I right now? Like I said, I probably could. You know, because I have all the equipments, I have the games, you know, that are popular right now, and this and that, so forth. But again, it's just like that reason alone, and also because it's just my life has just been, you know, more busy, you know, than usual. I mean, hey, that's what happens, right? But anyways, and sorry for the whole like I guess like a ramble on that stuff, but I guess like making this video, I just wanted to kind of talk about like the well, like one of the main things I want to talk about with the gacha topic is also with the community too, and like what's been happening. Ooh, that reminds me. One more thing. One more thing about this too with content creators as well. There's one other issue too that has been happening, right? And it's like how they're saying how these companies are being predatorial, you know, when it comes to like money and getting these players to spend money. And long story short, so they basically are trying to blame the company and saying like it's their fault. Like for example, there's like a power creep issue happening, right, with Honkai Star Rail. And to be honest, I actually do agree to an extent that that's happening. But I say to an extent though, because it's like, yeah, there's like this power creep happening, but also too, excuse me, it's not like it's a need, you know, and like you can still beat the game, you can still play the game. It's just that like you'll have these new characters who could just do it faster. You know what I'm talking about? That's all it is. It really is. Now, is it power creep? Yes. But is it like a huge issue or deal? Personally, for me, it's not. And that's where the whole, taking this too seriously comes in, as well. But I get it. I really do. I like what I get the passion and the frustration, but it's like, chill, But anyway, so it's like either that, and the other side of that problem is that if not blaming the company, they will blame the parents. Now, this is where I kind of have an issue with as well, because here's the thing. As a parent myself, right? I mean, my child isn't, at that age yet to where that'll be happening. So to where I can blame the company, but I can also blame the parents as well. Now, when I say this, it's here. It's like this. So basically, it's just like, yeah, they're saying like, oh, parents should be watching, what their kids are doing, which yes, they should, as best as they can. I will emphasize that, as best as they can, because you cannot watch your child 24/7. You really can't, regardless of what age they are. Well, of course, unless they're babies, if they're babies, then yeah, no duh though. But it's like, as they get older and everything, that starts to kind of, dwindle down or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, so it's like that. But when it comes to these games, right, where they say like, oh, it's the parents' fault for not watching their child spend money. Here's the thing too with that. It's like yes and no. Like I said, the no part is like it's like well, they can't watch a child 24/7, all the time, or just be constantly on them about this and that, so forth. And they can try that as much as they can, right? But then here's the thing right here too, and again too, I'm speaking from a parent myself, and I'm also speaking from a gamer myself, and who understands how this works, right? Or at least for the most part, is that like these parents are, having the kids who have like the tablets, iPads, phones, whatever else that might be, right? But they're also having them have access to their bank accounts. Okay, they're giving them access to have their money situations and like their credit cards and everything and so forth. So to be honest, that's where I'm like, well, that's their fault. That's on them. Like for me personally, because here I get this part here, right? Let's say if a parent gives like a child like an iPad, like here for example, I get my son a Switch, right? The light one, and he also has a iPad too, right? And of course, with those, devices, my information is in there. So pretty much like, in order for, let's say if he wanted to download a app, right, and everything, I would have to sign in and, do it myself, blah, blah, right? And a few of those, kid games in there do require like a payment. I'm not saying like it's going to charge me, but they do require some kind of form of payment because within that app, you might charge something in there. So that part I do understand of how, I guess like that can happen to where it's like, excuse me. So they download these games and then they have like these in-game purchases. Well, here's the thing though, even me doing that technically means that, hey, I just gave access, to my account to my child. So that's on me. And for me, I am aware of that. So that's one thing, right? It's like when you do that, then hey, that's on you right there. So that's one. Two, it's just like, I think I also saw this on the debate too recently, right? It's like they say like, oh, well, these parents aren't looking at their bank accounts for like weeks. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, weeks? Excuse me? Now, here, I get that if you have a job that just pays you, right? Like, you basically have a job to where, everything's being paid for, or you don't really have to look at your account, right? Because I'm in that situation too, kind of, and everything, so I get that. But there's no freaking way I will not look at my account after, like, for so long, If anything, the longest that I haven't looked at my account was what, maybe like 2 days. That's it. Because I do want to look at my account. Not that I'm paranoid or whatever, but I want to see what's happening and all that too, though. But in case like my wife goes out and buys something, or so forth. So pretty much I know like what's going out and what's coming in, right? So with these parents, out here, if they are very well aware that their kids have access to their accounts, to their cards, and if they're constantly kind of like checking them on it, or like their accounts there and so forth, there's no way they can't catch that. Now granted, you can lose a lot of money in like that. I will say that much. Like the kid like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna spend like $100. Oh, this and that. Like I know certain situations can happen. I get that, but it's just like I'm not trying to say it's not the parents' fault, but but also it's like it is. So it's like this. It's like I blame both sides. I blame the company for as people are saying, being predatory, about this. They're trying to aim at the, younger audiences or those who don't know or aware of it. Even parents who do supposedly watch what the kids doing, but don't second know what's happening. Like, I think someone said like, oh, well, no parent is going to read a 20-page essay about what this game is, which, yeah, they're not going to do that. I don't do that, right? But someone didn't counteract with that and said, well, they can go on Google and see what it is. But then someone else counteract with that too and say, well, if they do that, all they're going to do is get like an AI thing. And it's not, yes, I get that. But also too, it's just like, to me, in my opinion, it's like this. Either you're a parent who's not living with the times or like understanding how things are working now and everything, and you're just being so naive to where you think, things are the same since the 2000s. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like that. It's just like, nah, I mean, people aren't that stupid. Maybe. Anyways, but yeah, so I do blame the companies for, like pushing on people to tempt them to say, come on, you need this character. Even content creators are also like this too. Not all of them, but some of them are like, you need to get this character because this character is so broken. I think some guy made a video on that too. It was funny because I'm like, oh yeah, I totally get that. So it's just like that, right? But I also blame the parents too for not keeping an eye on their kids or watching their bank accounts. But also too, even if someone says, well, it's not their fault and then they can't watch the kids, okay, but that gave them access to their account. Okay, so right there, right on the spot, that's already their fault right there, So that's just my take on that part, about the whole parenting and comes to a situation on whose fault it is and whose fault is that. But it's just, I don't know, man. So, and sorry for like the rant and ramble on that part. I feel like that could have been another video on itself though. But again, too, this video itself right here, I pretty much just wanted to talk about the whole gacha, space, or of like kind of like what's been going on with it. Now I can make other videos, about gacha games, with like just games by themselves or just certain topics, right? If I want to go into like details on that, but I kind of just wanted to make this video just talking about what's been happening recently, kind of like the whole. Not really like drama between content creators, but kind of the issues that's been happening, like the whole rant I had with, who's to blame on this, or kind of like the, power creep situation, and just, like, I don't know, kind of like other things too, and it's pretty much just like a generalization video that I'm making, or kind of like a rambling video, kind of, and I don't know, that's just kind of like my take about kind of what's been happening as of right now. So I kind of want to make that clear too. So this video isn't, talking about just anything, specific exactly. It's just kind of mentioning this and that, right? So maybe in the future I'll, create a video that actually does talk about just one topic and then just go off of that, because I feel like maybe I should do that, instead of just kind of making this video and kind of like just rambling about it. But yeah, so. Well, you made it this far, then hey, you've been here. But you should already know how my videos are kind of longish, because I like to talk. I really do. I like to talk about like things or some topics, or like what even in my story time videos too, about my personal life on like some things. Now I won't give out the gritty deal or a gritty ditty, diddy. No diddy. Anyways, I don't give all my, exact personal details, but I do mention things to where, like, if I mention something that happened in my life, maybe someone can relate to it, or just give my thoughts on this part too, to where I do understand the community and the gaming situation, but also understand like, hey, life happens, real life happens. There's more to life than just a game, and just, I don't know. But anyways, I thank you for this time, for you being here, and I think about it too, whatever. I guess I wouldn't mind talking to, I guess another like content creator about this, whatever. And here, I'm not in here. I am not a content creator. Okay, I am not a CC. I'm not a streamer or whatever. I'm just a guy who just loves games, who loves like the anime stuff, whatever, and just tries to post clips or make AMVs or just whatever else, right? But I guess what I'm saying is that I wouldn't mind talking to, for example, like, well, I'm just saying, maybe like, Tagzone or Gacha Smack or, Dora or whoever else, out there. Just kind of give maybe like a, I don't want to call myself a casual player exactly because I have invested on these games, not all of them, but like, like some of them, right? So I guess you could say I'm like a above average casual player or like a pro casual. I don't know. Basically, it's like I play these games and I pretty much know what I'm talking about for the most part. So kind of get that general idea. So basically, like to where they want to talk to someone who is like a casual, but has like some knowledge about what's going on, or at least knows what's going on, but not looking at it as in like a critique actual pro player point of view. But anyways, but I think for this time, man, I appreciate you listening to me, and if you made this far, I'm happy for that and I appreciate it. So in the meantime, just have a good day, blessed day, and I'll see you next time. All right, peace out.